Thank you very much to everyone who has come from across the country to listen to today's talk on weight loss and hormones, and predominantly on weight management. My name is Lorna Vanderhaeghe. I'm a women's natural health expert. I've been researching and writing on nutritional medicine for over 40 years now. I've authored 13 books on nutrition. You can find some of them on Amazon. And we're going to talk about how to maintain a healthy weight. And there's a lot of factors involved in weight management in women. Hormones is one of them, gut health, sleep, all the issues that we deal with. So I'm going to go through each and every one of them. So there's a lot of information to cover during today's presentation. So the first thing is diets. Going on a diet doesn't work. 95% of people who lose weight by dieting will regain it and more in 1 to 5 years. And they've even found this with people who go on the GLP-1 drugs. So we'll talk about that as well. I think we need to change the way we look at a diet. A diet is the 4-letter word for the foods you eat. So I want to teach you what foods to eat for a fit and fabulous body. And it doesn't mean you have to starve. You're going to be quite surprised at the amount of food that you can eat on a healthy diet, and you won't feel hungry all the time. So let's get the slides working. This is a slide showing obesity prevalence in the US, but it's pretty much the same in Canada. So on the left side, in 2011, you see that the obesity rates were really quite low. This is in the US, so this is quite shocking. But if you look at 2023, look at the obesity rates. The numbers have just skyrocketed, 40 to 45% on average, 45%. And if you take the diabetes slide and you overlay these two, they're almost the same. So somebody had asked about insulin resistance, and insulin resistance, or being pre-diabetic or having metabolic syndrome. So you may have gone to your doctor and they said to you, oh, you have metabolic syndrome. That's a pre-diabetes condition. And I'm here to tell you that type 2 diabetes, they don't call it adult onset diabetes anymore. They used to call it type 2 adult onset. Now we have so many kids with type 2 diabetes that we don't call it adult onset anymore. That is incredibly sad. And so if you look at the fact that we can actually reverse type 2 diabetes, if you are not insulin dependent, we can reverse it. We can solve your diabetes. We can get your blood sugar back balanced. Weight gain and blood sugar management are absolutely key. And now that people are able to go and get those Dexcom blood sugar management buttons that you stick on your arm, you can find out what are you eating that is really messing with your blood sugar. So when you eat food, any food, doesn't matter what food you eat, when you eat food, your body, the sugar in the food goes into the bloodstream, and then your body secretes insulin. Your pancreas secretes insulin. And insulin's job is to push the sugar into the cells to get burned up and used as fuel. So that's a normal, natural thing. What happens to us, because we eat so many processed and packaged foods, is that when we eat food, the sugar goes in our bloodstream, insulin's secreted, but it can't do its job. It's like, keeps secreting more and more and more insulin, but it's not pushing the sugar into the cell to get burned up. That is called insulin resistance. And when we have insulin resistance, this is when we start to gain weight. So we definitely know there is a direct connection between weight gain, pre-diabetes, metabolic syndrome, obesity, and diabetes. So when we're talking about managing blood sugar, we're talking about all of these things. But our rates of diabetes are skyrocketing in Canada and the US, and it is food related. That is why we're seeing these huge increases in obesity and diabetes. So someone asked me if I was going to talk about GLP-1 drugs. Well, first, let's talk about what a GLP is. So GLP stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. We shorten it to GLP-1. It's a hormone. It's a gastrointestinal peptide hormone that the body secretes naturally in response to food intake in the intestinal tract that stimulates insulin release. So the drug is an injectable or an oral drug that mimics the action of GLP-1 that is used to treat type 2 diabetes and obesity. It works to stimulate insulin release. I forgot to tell you that when you become insulin resistant, the insulin is just, when you become resistant, what happens is your insulin keeps being secreted. Well, eventually it gets exhausted and it just can't work the way it's supposed to. So these drugs, which include Ozempic and Wegovy and Rybelsus, these drugs are designed to mimic GLP-1. Now, not everybody loses weight on these drugs. This is the other thing. 25% of people don't lose weight. Many people can't take them because of the side effects. Many people can't take them because of the cost. And of course, at some point you have to go off them. And when that happens, people gain the weight back. And the side effects are pretty nasty. So what are some of the side effects? The most common side effects of GLP-1 drugs are digestive issues. So loss of appetite, where people don't want to eat at all. I have a friend on GLP-1 drugs, and I'm very concerned that she's ultimately going to become so nutrient deficient. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, muscle loss. One of the scariest things about the GLP-1 drugs is muscle loss or sarcopenia. So sarcopenia is an aging disorder because when you lose muscle mass, you age faster. So, you know, these drugs can cause more increased aging. And remember, your heart is a great big muscle. So if you're losing muscle other places, you're losing it in your heart as well, which can cause increased heart rate, pancreatitis, thyroid cancer, kidney injury, and worsening diabetic-related retinopathy. So that's the effects in the eyes. Let's look at what happens in people who actually take these drugs long-term. So it's a 68-week treatment. So this is not short-term, this is long-term. And people lose weight. You know, on average with Wegovy, people lost 12% of their weight. And they had a huge, they gained 12% after they lost the weight. Then they went off it and they gained 12% of their weight back. So it's not, again, you've got to learn how to eat, even if you take these drugs. And, you know, for people who are seriously obese or have diabetes, it makes sense that they try the drugs if they can afford them. But ultimately, you've got to learn how to eat because eventually you're going to have to go off of these drugs. So let's look at all of the things we can do so that we don't end up on these drugs. Or if we are on these drugs, we can adopt all of these aspects so that eventually when we come off the drug, we don't gain the weight back and we feel great and we're fit and healthy. And my goal is to get you fit and healthy. So what are the factors that cause us to hold on to fat? Because I know a lot of women who have tried so hard to lose their weight and it's what we call stubborn weight loss. It is just stuck on us. And so metabolic rate, that's the rate that you burn calories, okay, when you're sitting in a chair. When someone says, oh, my friend, you know, she can eat anything and she never gains any weight. She has a higher metabolic rate than someone who doesn't. She probably also chooses foods that burn fat faster, and we're going to talk about that. Then we have all these hormones: thyroid, estrogen, cortisol, your stress hormone, serotonin, your happy hormone, leptin, insulin, ghrelin, melatonin. All of these hormones are playing a role in whether or not we are overweight or we are slim. Our gut microbiome is key. Before we started the talk, I discussed what they did with mice. They had two sets of mice, thin mice and obese mice. And they took the stool of the obese mice and put it in the thin mice. and the thin mice got obese. And then they took the stool of the skinny mouse and put it in the obese mouse, and they became thin. Okay, we know that the gut microbiome, and people who've listened to me talk in the past, 70% of your immune system sits in the gut. We know that the gut is, and the gut is everything from your mouth to your butt. So in there is your gut microbiome, and it is telling your brain things. It's where your serotonin is made. It's where your hormones are detoxified. And so if you have gas, burping, bloating, constipation, or diarrhea, you are going to have challenges maintaining your weight if you're overweight. And so we're definitely going to talk about the gut microbiome. Drugs. The antidepressants cause weight gain. I tell people, if you're on an antidepressant and you can't budge your weight, you need to change to an antidepressant like Wellbutrin, or we get you off of those drugs and onto some of the natural products if you've got mild to moderate depression. Stress, we know that the more stress you're under, the fat around your midsection changes. It literally becomes stubborn fat. And that's because of the stress hormone cortisol that is constantly elevated in people who are stressed out. Exercise, well, here's the big secret, is that they've done studies and they've shown that, yes, we have to move, but going and running on the treadmill every day for 40 minutes is not going to be your secret to weight management. It is about these other factors combined. The quantity of food we eat is too much. The quality of the food is not great. Genetics is the least most important factor. But if you have an overweight mother, whatever you do, don't eat like her. You want to choose different kind of food groups. So these are the healing foods: protein, fish, chicken, beef, eggs, all of those things. Lots of green vegetables, blueberries. These are things that are so healing for the body, and get your gut microbiome to work properly. These foods, we need to have a giant sign at the entrance to all the fast food restaurants and the junk food aisle. If you eat enough of these, you will become overweight, obese, probably have a higher risk of cancer and diabetes. That would be a good thing. They actually should have a warning, just like cigarettes. Why do we need protein? Women are notorious for not consuming enough protein. You need to have protein, and you need protein for growth, repair, and maintenance of all your cells. Protein helps to exercise without adequate protein causes a breakdown in muscle. Here's the thing: muscle burns fat. So lifting those weights, you just sit in your chair while you're watching the TV and lifting your weights. It helps to burn fat. Muscle burns fat. And every time you eat a high protein meal, your metabolic rate increases. Think about your husband or boyfriend or a man you've met who sat down and ate a big steak, and the next thing he's sweating. This is because protein consumption increases your metabolic rate. And so eating protein first thing in the morning or at your first meal, because we're going to talk about intermittent fasting, increases your metabolic rate by 25%, and it can stay that way for several hours. It also helps regulate the balance of water. So if you've got edema issues, this would be something you'd want to use. And protein is used for the manufacture of hormones. So what is protein? Meat, eggs, fish, protein powders. Those are all protein sources. There are also other protein sources, but those are the easy ones to remember. Protein's needed for your immune system. It curbs your appetite. It controls the hormone ghrelin. Ghrelin is the hormone secreted by your body that makes your stomach growl. Ghrelin, growling. And we know that protein curbs your appetite. So somebody had put a note up on the chat box saying that they're always hungry. They don't eat enough protein. We need at least 40 grams of protein per day if you're a 130-pound woman who sits in a desk chair all day long. I can tell you that's hard to do. An egg is a perfect protein. It only has 6 grams of protein. So you can just understand that for women, especially, it's probably a good idea for us to have protein shakes, not with sugar, not with artificial colors or flavors or any junk in it, but a good, clean protein source so we can supplement the food we eat. And this is just the slide that I was talking about earlier, that 130-pound woman who sits in a chair needs about 40 grams of protein per day. And someone asked a question about what edema is. Edema is water retention. So that's when you've got swollen ankles, swollen hands, maybe swollen belly. You know, you poke your belly and it sounds like water sloshing around in there. It's edema. So I continually have people tell me, I don't eat any carbs. Well, we have good carbs and bad carbs. Good carbs are vegetables. When you tell me you don't eat any carbs, I get very worried because you have to eat good carbs. Good carbs like green vegetables. You can eat as many green vegetables as you wish. For example, a cup of them is like 30 calories. So generally, I don't tell people to count calories, but because people have a hard time understanding how much food you should consume in a day, for a woman who is sedentary, so this is not the ditch digger or the aerobics instructor, if you want to lose weight, probably 1,500 calories a day is a good amount to still maintain all of your nutrition, but get you where you want to go on your weight management program. So carbohydrates, the whole class of them are sugars, starches, fruits, vegetables, grains, and milk products. And people are always shocked to find out that milk is a carbohydrate. And if you look at skim milk, the carbohydrates in skim milk, that's the no fat one, are higher than in full fat milk. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about that too. So getting lean in 6 weeks, do you want to cut out or reduce the carbohydrates that are high calorie, high sugar? Those are the ones that jack up your blood sugar. So you want to eat green. They cause less blood sugar response. You want to use full fat organic dairy. So for example, if you're putting skim milk in your coffee in the morning, you might want to put the whipping cream out of the bottle, not the whipping cream in the can that's full of sugar and bad oils, but the kind of whipping cream that is just pure whipping cream because it has a higher fat content. You'll want full fat organic yogurt, so the 3.5% yogurt, not the skim yogurt. And you want organic whenever you can. You know, if you love pasta, make zucchini pasta. Fruit is a sugar, so choose fruits like blueberries, which are very low on the glycemic index. And then good fats. So in the past, there was a whole focus on low fat, no fat. Well, low fat, no fat diets are not good for women. They tend to disrupt our hormones. We have lots of anxiety and depression and feelings of foreboding. You know, our female hormones get disrupted. So what are the good fats? Extra virgin olive oil. Do not buy oils that say light. That means they've been processed. So in best scenario is you buy the organic olive oil that you know where it's coming from. Avocados are good. MCT oil. This is a fat burner, so I put Nativa up there. Coconut oil would be an option. And of course, fish and nuts and seeds. But remember, if you're going to eat a lot of nuts, they are high in calories. So you definitely want to deal with that. And good fats burn fats. They make you feel satisfied. They improve blood sugar. They reduce insulin resistance. We talked about that already. We've already gone through, but the bad fats, what would the bad fats be? Corn oil, canola, which is genetically modified rapeseed, safflower, peanut, grapeseed, margarine. You don't want to eat any of those. Organic butter would be better than any of these bad fats. guar fiber. So I'm going to talk to you about fiber because fiber is just so important, and not just any old fiber. You want to have fibers that are prebiotic fibers. What are prebiotic fiber? Prebiotic fiber is a fiber that feeds the good guys in your guts, your probiotics. So when we were talking about gut health, and I was discussing this at the beginning, we definitely have to get our digestive system working properly. So if you have gas, burping, bloating, constipation, or diarrhea, then your focus from this entire talk is about getting your gut working properly. And so we know that guar fiber, and I'm going to talk about this product, Be Regular. For those of you who used to follow me years ago, I had a product called Regular Girl. Well, Be Regular is Regular Girl in a new bottle, just so you're aware. And this is a fiber that is a prebiotic fiber. It also contains probiotics. So it has 5 grams of prebiotic fiber and 8 billion probiotics. And so 2 sides, you get the prebiotic fiber that feeds the good guys in your gut, and you get the probiotics, which are essential for the good guys in your gut. And this is a fiber that comes from the Indian cluster bean. The great news about it, a scoop of this in water, it goes completely clear. No clumping, no grit, no glop, doesn't turn into jello in the glass. You don't even know you're drinking it. It transforms your gut in 6 weeks. So they've actually done studies using the fiber from Be Regular, and they have found it suppresses your appetite. So again, for the person who was saying they're always hungry, always hungry, always hungry, we need to turn off that message that's going to your brain that you're hungry all the time. And that's what the gut does. So we know that Be Regular research for this particular fiber suppresses the appetite, slows digestion, and increases the feeling of fullness. But you don't feel gross, like you don't feel like, ugh. You just feel satisfied. It's called satiety. And one study found 2 grams of this fiber resulted in a reduction in hunger cravings and decreased meal snacking. So if you're that person who eats and then you're always looking for something else before the next meal, we're talking about adults, not kids here. And then another study used 10 grams, so 2 scoops a day, and it lowered your after meal blood glucose levels by 10% and reduced serum cholesterol. Participants in this study were asked not to change their diet. So they got to eat whatever they want, and they still lost significant weight. And I just love this product. I was so happy that we could get it again in Canada with the prebiotic fiber and the probiotics. And I put it into my water bottle every day, 2 scoops, and it just transforms your digestive system. How do you know your digestive system is working well? 1 12-inch bowel movement a day or 3 4s. And you're going to check it out now because you want to have great looking bowel movements. That means that your guts are now working, which means you should be able to control your weight better. And I'll go back here just to show you what it looks like. At the end of the talk, I've got a code so you can get a discount on this as well. So the next product I'm going to talk about for weight loss is CLA. So when you buy organic grass-fed butter, it contains CLA. And our cows used to have lots of CLA because they were in a field eating grass, and cows that eat grass, their meat and their milk has naturally occurring CLA. Humans cannot make CLA, they have to get it from food. And interestingly enough, it has such great research, CLA, for weight loss. They had a 90-day double-blind placebo-controlled trial where they found a 20% decrease in body fat with an average 7-pound fat loss compared to placebo over 90 days. And CLA causes you to gain less fat back after you've lost the weight. And it found that the fat melted away even in those that didn't go on a specific diet. But here's the catcher. You have to take 5,000 milligrams a day or it doesn't work. So CLA is another ingredient that you could add to your weight management program. no fructose, so read labels, or sugar. You know, this is the one thing we've got to make sure that we avoid fructose, because high fructose corn syrup, which is hidden in all the packaged foods, it completely disrupts your blood sugar. You want to look for products or foods that have xylitol, which is from birch bark, or stevia, which is from a plant that you can actually plant in your own garden, as your sweeteners, because they are 0 calorie and they don't disrupt your blood sugar. We are always trying to keep our blood sugar balanced. That is the absolute key to weight management. And remember, alcohol is a pure sugar. So if you love to have a glass of wine, probably should pick red because it's better for you than white. But if you decide you want to have a glass of wine, remember it's 120 calories. So it's like having a small half a piece of cheesecake, and it is a pure sugar. So it jacks your blood sugar up right away. I'm not saying don't have a glass of wine. I'm saying be aware that when you have a glass of wine, a 5-ounce glass of wine is 120 calories of pure absolute sugar. And when you're drinking beverages, remember this as well. People often don't take the calories in drinks into consideration when they think about how much food they're consuming. Intermittent fasting. I love it. I've been doing intermittent fasting for most of my life. I didn't even know it was intermittent fasting. I was just so busy, I didn't eat until 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I was working. So, you know, when you eat food, any food, your blood sugar goes up, you have an increase in insulin, and when you have too much sugar, it's stored in the liver and it produces fat in the liver. So if you have fatty liver, we definitely want to look at the food you eat. So intermittent fasting allows the body to use up its stored energy by burning excess body fat. So what I do is I eat dinner at night. And yes, sometimes I have a glass of wine, and I'll tell you how we deal with that with nutrients. And then I go to bed, and I generally just have coffee in the morning, mainly because I'm not really hungry. And then around lunchtime is when I start eating. So I've had this very long period of time where my body gets a chance to rest. And for those of you who are saying, oh, I could never do that, I'd be 10 o'clock. It only takes about a week to train your body that you don't need to have all these calories, and you actually start to feel better. And the one thing they found about anti-aging, that the one true thing that extends your lifespan is calorie reduction. So eating less calories. And, you know, one of the things you want to do is probably change your dinner plate from that great big plate to the side plate. And that will show you how much food you don't need to eat. The benefits of intermittent fasting are increased fat burning. So we're trying to lose weight here, weight loss, lowered blood sugar and insulin, extending your life, improving mental clarity. So brain fog starts disappearing, improving cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, plus you eat less calories, which eating is eating on its own is a stress for your body, because a lot of the invaders that your immune system has to deal with are on the food we eat. So there's many different ways to do this. You eat at noon and stop eating at 8 p.m. So that's the one I do. Then there's the 5-2 method, where you eat normally for 5 days a week and take 2 days where you only eat 500 calories a day. Oh, and I really like this calorie counting app called Lose It. So you might want to look that one up, because it just kind of educates you on how many calories you are eating a day. I had one woman who was following the program, but she was making a shake. And I said to her, well, what are you putting in the shake? In the end, when I figured out what she was putting in that shake, she was eating her entire day's calories in her shake that she drank once a day on top of everything else. So you've got to be aware of calories, just so that at the beginning you can start to understand what you're eating. The eat, stop, eat. So eat normally for 5 days, 2 days of fasting, alternate day fasting, eating normally on one day with 300 calories on the alternate day. So there's different ways to do it. For me, what works really well is I start eating around noon and I stop eating at 8 p.m. And that works very, very well for me. Estrogen belly. Somebody asked about HRT, hormones, and how that affects the body. Well, if you're on bioidentical creams, don't put them between your armpits and your butt. You know, putting them on your belly, all these women I talk to, they tell me, oh, they got the patch, they put it on their belly. Next thing you know, they've got all this lower abdominal belly fat. Well, estrogen, remember when you were a little girl and your estrogen started flowing somewhere between 12 and 16, that's when you got all your curves. Estrogen gives you the curves. The more estrogen you have, it's stored in the fat, the chubbier we get, the bigger our breasts are, all of these types of things. So estrogen gives women their curves, but too much and we gain belly fat. So you've really got to be dealing with, if you go on HRT, monitor it. Some women who go on progesterone will gain tons of weight and they're like, why am I gaining weight on progesterone? Well, progesterone is a precursor hormone, meaning that your body uses progesterone to make estrogen. So you've really got to monitor this properly. Then we have estrogen in our food. So commercially produced dairy products have higher estrogen in them. Some of the commercially produced cheeses do. Too much estrogen blocks the uptake of thyroid hormone. We're going to talk about low thyroid because it also increases weight gain. And estrogen, as I said, accumulates in our fat tissue, and fat cells produce estrogen. In men and women, estrogen creates belly fat that is resistant to dieting. You will notice you can get great shaped arms and legs, but you still have this tire around the middle. So we just have to be conscious of estrogen if we're on estrogen replacement therapy. How to get rid of belly fat. So this is for the women who have the hormone-related belly fat, or what I call estrogen belly. These nutrients have been shown to balance your hormones and detoxify excess estrogens. And on my website at Lorna Health, you can read a lot about estrogen-related female health conditions. But my favorite supplements are indole-3-carbinol and sulforaphane. Guess what? They're found in cruciferous vegetables. That's broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, cabbage, and kale. So eat those green vegetables. They're very good for you. If you need additional help, then look for supplements that contain indole-3-carbinol and sulforaphane. So you can get a really good boost of estrogen that kick out all this excess estrogen. And no, it's not going to make you estrogen deficient, but it'll get your estrogen back in balance. Green tea extract, it has been approved by Health Canada for weight loss. If you're buying green tea to drink, make sure it's organic. And then people who remember my Glucosmart, which contains D-chiro-inositol, 600 milligrams a day. And if you want to have a glass of wine, make sure you have a D-chiro-inositol 600 milligrams with it, because that keeps your blood sugar balanced. Then I talked about the CLA. You want 5,000 milligrams per day with food, and then be regular, 2 scoops a day. Because remember, your digestive tract is also detoxifying all this excess hormones that you have. I want to talk about drugs, because a lot of women are on antidepressants and hormone replacement therapy. And we know that HRT, it doesn't matter if it's bioidentical or if it's synthetic. It's all about the amount of estrogen that is building up in your fat cells. So a lot of the antidepressants, the SSRIs, cause dramatic weight gain. Some women go on Prozac and put on 60 pounds in 6 weeks. So you've really got to pay attention, because that's when you're back at the doctor saying, this doesn't work for me. So really watch what goes on when you go on a new drug like antidepressants and HRT. and switch to Wellbutrin or 5-HTP or other natural mood enhancers if you're on antidepressants and they're causing dramatic weight gain. And I can talk about that in next month's webinar about how to wean you off antidepressants onto something safer and better that's not going to have you gain all this weight. So 5-HTP is an awesome alternative. It's something you would wean off your antidepressant and then onto the 5-HTP. And you would slowly do that. So if you want to know more about this, you can email me at lorna@lornahealth.com, and I'll give you a little protocol on what to do and what to discuss with your doctor if you're on antidepressants that have caused a lot of weight gain. Cortisol and stress. So we're all stressed out, but it's that chronic stress. And I noticed on the latest Apple Watch that they now have a little category where you can see how stressed you are. I think that would make me stressed to see how stressed I am every day. But chronic elevated cortisol, your stress hormone. So when you're under stress, your adrenal glands secrete cortisol, and this alters your fat cells. It makes the fat cells resistant to fat loss. It's like the door on the fat cell closes shut and it doesn't open. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So especially around the middle. So this is all about belly fat. Here's the other thing. When cortisol goes up, your DHEA drops. And when DHEA drops, this is your anti-aging hormone. Your muscle mass drops, it increases aging. And for those of you who've listened to me talk about Moducare, it's one of the only nutrients I know of that will drop cortisol and raise DHEA levels naturally. You can always take DHEA if you can get your doctor to write you a prescription for it. But wouldn't it be better if you got your body doing what it's supposed to do, lowering cortisol and raising DHEA? So I always take Moducare every day. I have a little bottle here. I'm constantly eating it throughout the day to deal with my stress levels. But again, it's all about maintaining a healthy balance with your cortisol. And if you're gaining weight, and this is the person who tells me, I eat right, I exercise, I'm not eating more than 1,500 calories a day, and I cannot budge a pound. They are generally under terrible stress. And one of the things that is a good indicator is uncontrolled food cravings. That's when you're constantly craving different foods. And of course, you get digestive upset. Melatonin is key. You have to sleep to lose weight, and a lot of women are not sleeping. Melatonin has been found to speed up fat burning, resulting in a higher metabolism. So a lot of people take melatonin, but they take way too much. You only need 1 to 3 milligrams at night, and you take it every single night. It just becomes part of your program. And when we talk about anti-aging, melatonin is a hormone that is an anti-aging hormone. As we age, melatonin drops. People who sleep have higher melatonin levels, which also accelerates weight loss. Nighttime waking, you know, where you fall asleep fine, but you wake up at 2 or 3 wide awake. This causes our fat cells to become resistant to weight loss. And melatonin levels are known to be lower in the winter when weight gain is more prevalent. Isn't that interesting? Postmenopausal women taking melatonin had better sleep over 24 weeks, and it aided weight loss. This is so simple. Melatonin is dirt cheap, just like vitamin D, which you should also be taking. And you only take 1 to 3 milligrams at night. So what I do is I buy the 3 milligram sublingual melatonin. I break them in half, and the bottle is like $6. So it lasts me for months. And you take half of it at night. So you get the 1.5 milligram. And melatonin improves the thermogenic action. So that's the fat burning activity, which we really want to get our fat burning to function better as we get older. It totally slows down. So let's talk about thyroid, because in Canada, we have an epidemic of low thyroid. How do you know if you have low thyroid? Okay, you go to the doctor, you get a TSH test. It's called thyroid stimulating hormone test. The doctor knows it as a TSH. The range of normal is so broad. They don't diagnose you with low thyroid until your TSH is above 5.5. Okay, that is totally confusing to people. The lower your thyroid, the higher your TSH number is. So if you have a TSH of 4, 5, 5.2, you have low thyroid. The challenge is that we know from all the research that's been done, and if you went to a doctor in the US, they would diagnose you with low thyroid when your TSH was above 2 or 2.5. So you have to ask your doctor, what are your results? Better yet, get yourself on one of the, the services card, the apps that come either through the government or through the labs, where you get your own results of your TSH. So you want to have a TSH test. The result should be between 0.4 and 2. If it is above 2, it is very hard to lose weight when your TSH starts to creep over 2. If you have a TSH of 4, it is so difficult to lose weight. And I look at people and they're trying so hard, but if their thyroid is not functioning properly, they cannot lose weight. So why is our thyroid so bad in Canada, especially? We don't get enough sunshine. We are vitamin D deficient. Your thyroid needs vitamin D in order to make thyroid hormone. We need selenium, which is another very, very important mineral for thyroid health. And we're so stressed out. When you're under a lot of stress, you do not convert your thyroid properly. So this is why herbs that calm down the stress levels, like Moducare, like ashwagandha, like Google's, this is good for the thyroid. You could look for a thyroid product like my old ThyroSmart and take it every day, but the goal is to get your TSH below 2. And, I would beg the doctor, if you can't get it down below 2 with nutrients, then I would beg the doctor for low dose thyroid. People always say, do you think thyroid is a good medicine? And I'm like, yes, because most women, by the time they finally got thyroid medicine, they were over 5. They had been suffering with low thyroid for years and years and years. And then you want to eat protein. Protein contains amino acids that your thyroid uses to make thyroid hormone. And avoid fluoride. Stop using fluoride toothpaste, drinking fluoride water, using fluoride mouthwash. Fluoride blocks the uptake of thyroid hormone. But I really want to tell you that if you're trying to lose weight and you have a thyroid issue, it is going to impede your ability to lose weight properly. Exercise. 10 minutes. I love the rebounder. 10 minutes of rebounding. That's this little trampoline. You see the woman jumping on it here on the side. 10 minutes of rebounding is equivalent to 20 minutes of fast walking. So here we are in winter again. A lot of people are not out walking. A rebounder, you can plunk it in front of your television and bounce your brains out during TV. Then you want to get some Velcro weights. Weightlifting at home, get yourself a little weight tree. They have a 3, a 5, and an 8-pound weight. And lift small weights in your house in the morning before you go to work. Anything to build muscle. And it does not take long to get nice muscles in your arms, to firm up, the saggy, flagging underneath skin that we see when we're brushing our teeth every day. So walking is great. You don't have to join a gym. You just need consistency every single day. When I was talking about D-chiroinositol, the product that's available is GlucoSmart. I sold my company to Jameson many, many years ago, but I love this product. There are over 30 human clinical studies. It's for insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, metabolic syndrome, but it stops belly fat and it aids with weight loss. And it also does great things for your happy hormone, serotonin. It also stops skin tags. So somebody had asked about different skin tags, skin growths, these types of things. When your blood sugar is disrupted and elevated, you get skin tags. So we know that 4 skin tags or more is an early warning sign that you're getting diabetes. So we know that we want to bring that blood sugar back into balance. And I do about 600 milligrams a day. If I have more than 1 glass of wine, I take 2 of these. So we're always, thinking about, okay, I want to enjoy a glass of wine. How do I do that without disrupting my blood sugar and gaining weight? And just, it's about being conscious of what you're consuming. So here's some of my weight loss tips. So eat pure protein for the first meal. So if you're like me and you don't eat until lunchtime, your first meal is going to have protein. If you're at work, get a protein shake. I've been drinking these protein shakes. I have them every day. I just threw it in the garbage, so I'll pull it out. I drink this one. It has 10 grams of protein in it. It's quick, it's easy. It's got 300 calories. So I'm aware of how many calories. It's a plant-based protein. So your first meal of the day should be pure protein. People are like, really? You should have a chicken breast for breakfast, not a big bowl of fruit and cereal. Remember, you're breaking the fast. So you want to do the blood sugar rise slowly, not like that. Protein shakes are great as long as they're not full of a lot of junk. And remember, if you're making a shake in the morning for yourself and you're putting a mango and a banana and a couple of blueberries and, yogurt, it's now your entire day's calories. Because if you want to do looking at the calories you eat, which I think is a really good exercise for people to effectively lose weight, is probably 1,500 calories a day, which is a lot of food, Throw out all the white foods, white rice, white pasta, white bread, white potatoes. And if you do have bread, you want to have things like rye bread or a really dense bread, freeze it. Because when you thaw it and put it in the toaster, which is what I do, you've now reduced the glycemic response of the bread by freezing it. That doesn't mean you can have 10 pieces of bread, but it means that it reduces the glycemic response. So that's the blood sugar response. Walk 30 minutes a day or rebound for 10 minutes. And I know every one of us sits in front of that TV for at least 10 minutes a day. Eat spicy foods, cayenne pepper, curries. These things rev up your metabolism. And that is what causes you to feel hotter and burn more fat. Chew, 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 chew. You should not swallow things without liquefying them in your mouth first. Why? Because digestion starts in the mouth. Eat organic, full-fat yogurt, not the low-fat yogurts. And please read labels because there's so much junk in everything now. Balance your hormones. That means insulin, thyroid, serotonin, and estrogen. And I have a ton of talks on hormone balancing. So if you need more information on estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, balancing those hormones, most North American women, we are estrogen overloaded, which is why we have so much belly fat. Put food on the side plate. The dinner plate is way too big. You can have a big bowl of green stuff. Remember, a cup of green vegetables is like 25 calories. You can eat a lot of them and then you're full. Make yourself a Ziploc bag full of green veggies to chew during the day. You can put it in your car, on your desk. And then lower the glycemic index of food by adding vinegar and lemon. They've shown that when you pour vinegar and lemon on things, freeze your bread, freeze your pasta, after you've cooked it, of course. Build muscle. A little bit of muscle goes a long way to burning fat. So when you're watching TV, lift weights. You get really good at it after a while. Get a healthy gut. That's why you're going to take B regular. 1 12-inch bowel movement a day or 3 4s. So just remember that and be conscious of it. And then once you start to notice you're getting slimmer, you don't have muffin top, it's related to what's going on in your gut. And drink water throughout the day. I am terrible at that. That's why I do the be regular in the water, because it makes me conscious of drinking more water. Okay, if you are that person, oh, sugar cravings. I forgot to talk about this. So if you currently put sugar in your tea or coffee, what you want to do, it'll take you a couple of weeks. If you put 2 teaspoons of sugar in your tea or coffee, you want to start putting a teaspoon and a half. And then 4 days from now, you do a teaspoon and a quarter. Then 4 days from that, you do a teaspoon. And then you go to half, and then you go to a quarter, and then you go to none. And then if you put 2 teaspoons of sugar in your coffee, you would be like, ugh, that's awful. So slowly wean yourself off. If you like fizzy drinks, switch to sparkling mineral water and put a flavoring in it, something like cranberry juice or just a little bit to give it a flavor, and wean yourself off. Sugar addictions, you have to wean off them because sugar is as addictive as some very powerful street drugs. So you slowly wean yourself off the sugar. It's not like cold turkey. You are going to train your brain that you don't like it. And everyone who has done this, who's gone from 1 teaspoon of sugar in their coffee or tea to none, and then tried to have it again, gagged. They were like, wow, I can't believe I ever drank that. So if you like starches, choose the keto pastas or whole grain pasta. And if you want pasta, you have a little bit of pasta and a lot of meat and veg on top. That's the way to do it. About portion control. Air popped popcorn. It's good for you. Organic, no trans fats, microwave popcorn, no chips. I'm a chipaholic, so I have switched to popcorn. And I'm really happy when there's nobody home for dinner and I can just have popcorn. I put MCT oil on it, which is a fat burner, some salt, and just eat the air popped popcorn without anything else. While you're switching from your current diet to a healthy diet, you want to switch from white rice to brown rice. Portion control. Dense breads, from your regular bread to dense breads. Slowly you do these things. And remember, alcohol is a pure sugar. Fruit juice is a pure sugar. No one should be drinking fruit juice. No one. You've got to sleep. So that's also the key. And on my social media at Instagram at Lorna Vanderhaeghe, I have a whole sleep protocol. So just spin through them until you find it. So we're at the end, so I'm going to answer your questions, but you need to go to lornahealth.com for more information on 100 subjects. You can email me at lorna@lornahealth. Right now it says info, but I would go to Lorna at Lorna Health because you get me directly. My daughter's company is selling the Be Regular. So this is the old regular girl. So go to KidStarNutrients.com. They have a discount code, Hormone15, which gives you 15% off what you purchase. They also carry Moducare. They also have great vitamin C and the best iron supplements I've ever had. We're going to send you my 6-week eating plan for healthy weight management. It's about 1,500 calories a day, and you will be surprised at how much food you can eat for 1,500 calories a day. And I'm here to help you. You can always email me. When I said about what was 40 grams per day, a 130-pound woman needs 40 grams of protein. Protein is eggs, fish, chicken, beef, pork, bacon, protein shakes, all that kind of thing. But you need protein. If you're vegetarian, then there are other sources of protein as well that you can get from things like lentils and beans. But if that's the case, I would switch to a protein shake because you'll be able to get a more concentrated protein. No, 40 grams of protein per day for a 130-pound sedimentary woman. Do I have a recommendation for protein powders that are vegan or kosher that don't have sugar? Yeah, I mean, KidStar had a great protein powder that provided 10 grams of protein. that was a vegetarian form of protein. You've really got to become a good label reader. So when you go into the health food store, they have so many you can pick from. But there are lots of plant-based proteins with pumpkin and pea protein. Make sure the sweetener is xylitol or stevia, not erythritol. I was horrified to see that there was a sugar substitute that had monk fruit and erythritol. You don't want to take erythritol. That's not good. If you have a question, you can write about it in here. What about oxalates in spinach? Any concerns with eating high oxalates? Well, you know, the thing is with spinach, what you may want to do is steam it, saute it. I think there are 100 different kinds of green vegetables that you could eat besides spinach. And oxalates block the uptake of iron. So definitely I would look at avoiding them. Cauliflower is a great carb, but when you're trying to lose weight, I'm trying to make it simple for people. Green is always good. If you're going to eat cauliflower, that's fine too. It's a white food, but it is a good white food. What if you drink plant-based beverages like almond breeze? Just remember, if you want to lose weight, you want to stay within the 1,500 calorie a day. So check out what is in there. Is it unsweetened almond breeze? Because all of these plant-based beverages, some of them are unsweetened and some of them are loaded with sugar. So you've got to be a really good label reader and pay attention. Look at how many calories are in the drink you're drinking and then add them. Say to yourself, okay, I just drank 300 calories. I now know that the rest of my day is going to be 1,200. And then you'll decide, you'll get very good at this. I'm not going to drink 300 calories when I could have, 3 cups of vegetables and feel satiated, feel full, and have lots of good, healthy nutrients in my diet. The next question. Vegetarian, HRT, gas, bloating as soon as I eat. Oh, okay. So we're going to focus solely on your gut. And you want to chew your food until it's mush. You don't want to eat big amounts of food at the beginning. You want to start chewing your food until it's mush, eating smaller portions at a time. I would make soup, make chicken soup and beef soups, stews, things that are, when you cook the food, you start to partially break it down. Fermented foods. So I buy this sauerkraut from Cartons, and I have a scoop of that every day. It just sits in my fridge, and I have a fork load of it. It gets all the good guys going in my guts. So fermented foods like yogurt, unsweetened kimchi, because most of the kimchi is loaded with sugar, sauerkraut, things that are going to get your good guys going. If you're a kombucha drinker, remember your kombucha may actually be giving you 350 calories. So you just have to be conscious of this all the time. What about PGX or glucomannan for fiber? Well, one of the challenges about glucomannan is that it swells up in your gut. So if you look at the bottle of PGX, it actually has a warning about really a positive thing. And most people don't like the feeling of like being overfull. This is why I really love the guar fiber that's found in B regular, because you get the fiber, but you don't get that feeling, that swelling that goes on in the gut. You feel nice and light. You don't get the bloated belly. So there's nothing wrong with glucomannan for fiber. It just would not be my fiber choice. You have to basically hide it in a shake with other things. And wouldn't it be great if you just make yourself a big jug of water, throw in your 2 scoops of B regular, stir it up, and drink it throughout the day and get all the benefits without getting that feeling of being full and bloated, and having to drink copious amounts of water so you don't get constipated. I love digestive enzymes. The one I really like is actually the cheapest one in the market. It's Jameson's digestive enzyme. Shockingly enough, it is great because you don't have to take it half an hour before meals. You could even take it at the end of a meal if you ate too much. It works like a charm. They're tiny little tablets, so they aren't huge, and you can just take them whenever you want. What time of day should we take Be Regular? Anytime you want. You can take it whenever you want. There's no time that you have to. Is it okay to sip it all day? Yes. You just put it in your water. Does CLA have any adverse effects on the kidney? Not that I'm aware of, but if you have true kidney disease, I always tell people to be very careful. Start it, see how you feel if you're being monitored by a doctor. But I mean, there are lots of other things you could take than CLA. And remember, food is always the best method to lose weight. Other than getting your thyroid in balance and your stress levels dealt with and your sleep, really understanding how food is making us overweight and really thinking about the calories we eat. Are they good calories or are they bad calories? And how can I eat more good calories? Like if I eat a cup of blueberries that are like 70 calories, that's a good calorie. That's something that's really good for me. How about monk fruit? Monk fruit is also a great sweetener as long as it's not mixed with erythritol. Like with anything, if you're on medications, I always tell people to take them 2 to 3 hours apart from any nutritional supplement. Men can take Be Regular. Kids can take Be Regular. This is for young kids. You can take it from, age whatever, 1.5. Say you have a 13-month-old toddler who is constipated. They can take it as well. It's super, super safe. Yeah, generally, as Akane said, it's good to take your drugs and your supplements a couple of hours apart. Can you have cream in your coffee? Yes. When you are doing intermittent fasting, you can have a tablespoon of full whipping cream in your coffee and it does not break your fast. They did research on that. But I'm talking about when you buy a bottle of whipping cream that you're then going to whip and put sugar in. I'm talking about just using the whipping cream. It has less carbohydrates because it is more fat. I hope that makes sense to people. Is Vagifem and estrogen cream bioidentical hormones? No, they are estradiol. And so you want to switch to estriol. And if you go and you listen to my YouTube on hormones, it has the prescription for estriol, which is the only safe estrogen. That's the one you want to use. What if we take bioidentical estriol cream on the inner thighs and wrists? That is great. That is perfect. That's what you want to do. What's the best way to keep cortisol down besides exercise? Deep breathing exercises, saying no, taking Moducare to lower your cortisol and bring your DHEA up. And go get your DHEA checked at the doctor's office when you get your thyroid checked, because then you can find out, is it low? In most women over the age of 50, your DHEA is very low. Is there a brand of CLA I recommend? They're mostly all from the same source. It's all about the dose. You want 5,000 milligrams. Some of the capsules are so huge, they're impossible to swallow. So I would look for ones that are easier to swallow or you will not be compliant. GlucoSmart is good for all of us from now until we die. I think they're actually going to find out that GlucoSmart is going to help with what we call type 3 diabetes. Does anybody know what type 3 diabetes is? It's Alzheimer's. And so because we've now learned that the brain also secretes insulin, and they think that there's a connection, pretty good connection with blood sugar in the brain and Alzheimer's disease. So yeah, yes, you should continue to take GlucoSmart. GlucoSmart is the product that we take for balancing blood sugar. No, Immunocare and Moducare are not the same. Immunocare tried to copy. Moducare has $20 million and 30 years of clinical studies, and Immunocare is not Moducare. Immunocare does absolutely nothing to your cortisol and your DHEA. We did a very good study with Moducare in marathon runners who are under horrific stress. Their cortisol goes up, their DHEA drops, and in the marathon runners, we were able to show that that could be altered. Vitamin D in the winter, you want to have 5,000 IUs. The Health Canada recommended dose for vitamin D is 2,500 milligrams or IUs. And in the winter, you want 5,000, and in the summer, you want 2,500. Can melatonin be taken when you're on statins? Absolutely. You want to take 1.5 milligrams every single night, about an hour before you go to bed. Become regimental about your nighttime program. Yeah, they don't make Protein Smart with CLA anymore, which is terrible. We absolutely loved it. I don't have that product anymore, sadly, but we have looked at making it because the reason why we made that product is I couldn't swallow the CLA pills. So we put the CLA in the protein powder, which made it thick and creamy and really yummy. Yes, you can use Moducare and ThyroSmart together. I have a goiter considered to be a thyroid issue, indicates thyroid function is within the normal range. Never, never, never listen to this words, it's in the normal range. You want to see, is it below 2? Your TSH has to be below 2. Never let your doctor tell you it's normal. You have to ask them, what is the number of your TSH? Your bones and muscles need landing on the ground to stimulate. A rebounder doesn't do that, but it is great for, there is a lot of force when you bounce on that rebounder. And yes, you need to walk and you need to do other things, but we're all about how do we get people who aren't exercising to start incorporating fitness. There is a lot of energy required to use that rebounder. But I agree with you. You need to walk. It's one of the best things. Yes, you take magnesium bisglycinate for sleep. Which protein shake? Oh, yes. Which protein shake? This one is Sperry, and this is a plant-based protein, but you could find, this is the Sperry chocolate one that I'm using because I need to remind myself to eat. And so this is my first meal of the day is with the protein in it. Sperry is what it's called. Is cottage cheese okay? Yes, if it's organic. And do not take dairy products that say milk byproducts. You don't want that. Or modified milk products. You have no idea what that is. Estradiol on the bum. Yes, that is estradiol. You want to switch to estriol. Does the Be Regular degrade? No, it does not. You can drink it all day long. The Sperry drinks are awesome. I've been looking online and then I buy them by the case and have them shipped to the office. Yeah. Is sourdough bread a good choice? No. I'm going to say no bread because when you get the eating program, you're allowed to eat bread, but not at the beginning. I find people, especially us women, we are not very compliant if we don't have success out of the gate. So we'll just say no to the bread right now. And you can always add bread later in limited quantities. Gluten-free, not celiacs, just sensitive. You'll be able to eat on the eating program that I've given you. Yeah. Is there much difference in between protein fish and tofu or tempeh? It's all about how many grams of protein you're getting. The good news about fish, especially if you're eating salmon, is you get the increased essential fatty acids. Yes, some yogurts are even protein fortified, and if you're buying organic full-fat yogurt, you can read the protein content on the side. Whey protein concentrate or isolate, it's all about the taste. So I find the concentrates taste better. If you're a bodybuilder, you probably want to isolate. I'm so glad that you bought the Be Regular and you like it. It's not hard to like because it just tastes like water. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to stop answering questions. You guys have absolutely been awesome, but I have to answer this one question. What about oatmeal? We feed oats to cows when we want to make them fat. Do we really think oatmeal is good for us? No. Oatmeal is a food that if you're trying to lose weight, you want to avoid oatmeal. And it is a white food. It's in my white food category. So just remember that when we want to fatten up animals, we feed them oats. You guys have been awesome. We'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the eating plan. Please email me at Lorna@LornaHealth. And don't forget that if you go to KidStarNutrients.com and use my code Hormone15, you get 15% off. So I hope you go there and check it out and look at the other products they have. And if you have kids, they also have kids nutrients. They're not just a kids company as well. And yes, you will get a recording. We'll send it out to everybody. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I always enjoy talking to everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.